Hi, I'm Pierce.
And I'm Grace.
And this is Adjusting to the Curve.
Heck yeah. It's so good every
Works
time.
every time. But this is Adjusting to the Curve, obviously. We have another guest, one of the people that have helped made this even possible for the podcast just in general. Made a lot of things for student affairs possible and just students in general. So we have Misti here with us today. And if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself to the lovely people out there.
Hi, my name is Misti Manco, and I am the Assistant Dean of Student Engagement. I'm very excited to be here today.
Yeah.
You know, your title is always something that, like, someone will be like, what does Misti do? I'm like, well, I know she does a lot of stuff, but I don't know what she does. Like, I don't know your title.
Yeah.
So it's good to finally hear it.
Yeah. So it did change from involvement to engagement, and they're really kind of similar, but the engagement is more encompassing everything that I do with engaging. Exactly. And so engagement then leads to retention. So that's, you could spend all day talking about that.
So whenever you're talking about engagement, you know, there's a lot to do on campus that a lot of people have no idea is even here. I mean, I didn't until I think one day I just came in and started talking to you. I don't even know how that whole relationship, friendship, whatever happened, but I'm really glad it did because you are one of the most influential people, I think, on campus. So
thank you.
We just love you so much. So whenever you think of the word engagement, what do you think of for Logan and Logan students specifically?
And again, using that word involved and engagement kind of go together, but really it's enhancing your experience that's here. And if you're engaged with the campus, it is more likely that you're engaged forever, for life. I've always been an online student, and so I never really felt connected to my campus. So when it came time for me to be alumni or to pass information along or even sometimes essential funds, I didn't feel that connection. And so part of that is being engaged in your campus. You're more likely to come back and to help in there. So
I know I did my undergrad online here. I think I've told you that before. And it is just like you're not person to person. Like you don't ever really see anybody or talk to anybody. So it's hard to stay in the groove of school and just being like at a university whenever you're online, not person to person with that contact. So
yeah, no, it is. And I think, you know, that's part of me being an online student and being a current student allows me to meet you where you're at, right? And because I'm an online student, that has allowed me to even stretch into the College of Health Science and find ways to engage them by making organizations hybrid, right? Because there's obviously the technique orgs here, they can't participate like that online, and it's not even relevant to what they're doing. However, PAC is an example that you can have all students, even online students, be engaged that way. So
for sure.
that's been something that's priority as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, whenever I was I'll let you go next. I keep interrupting you.
I was ready. I have it on my mind ready.
Whenever I was in undergrad, I think we actually started the first online club. I was part of the health club.
Pre-health?
Yes, the pre-health club. Yeah, I was. If I remember right, I was one of the officers for it. It seems like so long ago. A lot of stuff has happened since then. But I think that was one of the first online clubs at Logan.
Yeah, that's important to me. And I've been finding that way to, again, engage or get students involved that way.
Cool.
So what do you think is the best way for, I guess, newer students to get themselves involved when they get to campus? Because, you know, when you're, especially try one, you're new to everything, moving so fast paced. You got 28 hours credit hours, and so you have class. You got to go home. You got to eat.
Right.
You got to do
very
so
important
things.
to eat.
Very
Don't forget to eat.
So how would you say a student that's coming into this program can get involved in any try really?
Right. So I've also taken on orientation, which is a form of engagement. Right. It's your very beginning of that, and I am a person that doesn't like the fire hose effect of orientation because you're going through so much and you're learning so much in there. So I like that trickle effect. So I've kind of spread it out into a pre-orientation, a orientation, and a post-orientation type of situation. And the more times that you have those touch points, so I lean on a lot of the upper tries to talk to these try ones, these brand new students, by giving opportunities, right? There's this year in the summer, they're going to have a mingle and mocktails type of, and so I'm going to ask all student leaders, the ambassadors are going to get, this was actually an idea from the ambassadors, to come in there and just before all the craziness happens, before classes start, to talk about the benefits of being involved, how they've seen it from the students' perspective of, you know, yes, it may seem like there's a lot going on and you don't really know your footing. So go ahead and take some time to find that. But the importance of the benefits of why I've gotten involved, and it's given me those resources on campus, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do more so, is get those touch points. And it's great for, you know, we've changed also Welcome Week. Welcome Week is about student organizations showcasing themselves, right? And it's their opportunity to talk to these, you know, these younger tris, and it makes their organizations become sustainable.
I think, oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I think, I mean, we all talked about, there's a student, a prospective student that's looking into coming to Logan. And he was just kind of asking just about school and in general, the whole thing. And I think that's another thing that, you know, we sometimes, the people that aren't students fail to tell other people that are coming in, like, yes, it's hard, but it's not all hard. It's what you make of it.
Right. Like, no, that's the point.
You can do, I don't know, you can do so many things within the city of St. Louis, but B, just also right here at Logan, there's SABCA, there's all types of adjusting clubs. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but also, obviously, school is the first thing you need to be doing. Right. And so I just thinking about that, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that goes back to, with me, so there's two views on Students First. So Students First is whenever I'm planning or organizing or doing any kind of procedures that I'm writing or policies, you are my first priority. I am thinking of you first. And what helps me is that I'm also a student, right? And so, but I have work too and all this, because you're not just a student, right? But you are a student first. So whenever it comes to your view and whenever I'm working with student organizations, it's different. Your view should be you are a student first and then these leadership things. Like your first priority should be your schoolwork. And I've told both of you, your schoolwork is definitely a priority. But I make sure that I'm clear about that when I meet all students. Like, you are my first priority when I'm thinking about ways to make things easier, because at the end of the day, you don't have an hour to devote to putting an event in Logan Connect, for example, because you've got these other things. So you're less likely to be involved if it takes so long to get things accomplished, right? And so that's what I work very hard behind the scenes to make it easier for all of you. And then I also like this podcast altogether. I love this. I'm plugging it away at Future Leopard Weekend, right? I'm out there with the QR code, and because I think this is the neat. I've always wanted this. I originally, as an advisor, I was like, I want an advising podcast, right, where we could all sit around and talk about being an advisor. And I got a little bit in my graduate program and did that with a thesis. So I did a couple of episodes, but I always wanted to bring it to campus. And so when you both, it was like perfect, right? And this is a way that also you can reach those potential students, talking about on the podcast, like bringing in those student leaders and giving them those touch points prior to.
Yeah, and it's real important. Good for us because it's like, one, it's a way to decompress, but just also just talk about some things that we go through on an everyday basis. And we're both split tris, so we're technically the bottom of the barrel. Like, we have to do, like, we might split, so we have classes that are in two different tris. We're learning two completely different things that are kind of in the same realm. 3 is all 3, 4 is all 4. But when you're in 3, 4, 8, it's just like everything. It's completely different things. You have a lot of free time, so you have to manage your time. So there's a lot. So this is great.
I know, like, whenever I was first looking at coming to Logan for the DC program, I looked so hard for other resources available, like from a student perspective, and there's really anything out there, like on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, nothing. So it was really hard to kind of gauge the school. So I think that with the podcast, I think that's a great start to it. And just like you said, like, having different resources, that's a lot of what I've noticed from being involved, especially with you and all of the other organizations that I know we're both involved with. It's given a lot of resources that we can take with us outside of school and after we graduate. I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, that's what I work towards. I have coming up in the next try, we have this conflict resolution workshop that we're bringing in, and I'm having all leaders participate in, because it's a skill. My big thing is, if we're going to have meetings and I'm going to have these trainings, it's going to be a skill that you're going to take with you beyond these walls, right? I'm always looking for ways that you're going to connect back, you're going to come back, and that's going to happen there. So that's going to happen with a conflict resolution that you can, use in your careers. And then we're going to have a fun, stress event where we smash some stuff, just those different things.
Yeah.
For
I need that right now.
Yeah, because even I'm a student too, again, and I could use some conflict resolution, right? I think everybody could really use that. And bringing in someone that's not from Logan to come in and that's what they focus on, to bring that to you students, I think it would help. And actually, Grace, you were I was first led to you because you were your tribe president.
I was.
And that was a big
Forgot about
deal.
that.
So
Yeah, I did too.
in tribe 1, right? So Grace chose to get involved as a president. And part of what you have led me, and because, again, I won't do anything without your voices being involved, has led me to build what I'm trying to build more so is with your through challenges and games, is if something happens, you're building those relationships with everyone within your try.
Yeah,
right?
That is one thing I honestly forgot that I did that. I'm actually really grateful I did that, because I don't think enough people, they feel like it's too big of a responsibility to take on those officer positions, but I loved it because I got to know everybody in my class. I got to know people who weren't in my class, so all the officers from the upper tries, and even everybody on student government. I got to know all of them. I kind of got to know what was happening around school and in other tries, so it was kind of cool having my classmates come up to me and ask me questions and just kind of get to know everybody. So I highly recommend doing that. If you're coming into here, run for officer if you feel like you can do it. But just get involved, I think.
Yeah, I think getting involved is something that everybody should want to do. So, but yeah, thank you, Misti, for...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for, helping with the podcast, first and foremost.
Just everything.
But students, make sure you get involved. There's plenty of things you can get involved with, but also take care of your classes. Take care of yourself mentally and physically as well. And
go talk to Misti. She's the best person ever.
Just if you don't want to get involved, at least go say, hey, Misti, nice to meet you. I got some friends that see me here. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.